Okay, well, I'm just starting the show.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't find the button again. We're gonna have to review that. Thank you, Jane. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Greater Victoria Real Estate Show. I'm Andrew Plank with the Vibe Collective and Royal LePage, and today we have
Jane Johnston.
Today we have. Let's start again.
I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Bar Hill Group, and it's a Greater Victoria Real Estate Show now, folks.
Yes, it is.
And we have
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with Dominion Lending Centers, Modern Mortgage Group. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, another week, another topic, another day. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into the show. Today we're going to talk about neighborhoods and neighbors and selling your home. And sometimes you're going to do everything you can to get your home ready for sale, but you can't control maybe what's over the fence next to you. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and maybe some of the things you can do and some of the things we've experienced in our real estate in our various careers. But first, Jen is going to update us on what's going on with the mortgage world.
Yeah, well, right now all eyes are on the Bank of Canada and whether they will cut the overnight lending rate by 1/4 percentage point on September 17th. What we know right now is that Canada's job data is weak. The economy lost more than 65,000 jobs in August.
Oh, God.
And unemployment has crept higher, which definitely puts pressure on the bank to ease rates. On the inflation side, things are definitely a bit more complicated. Headline inflation has cooled overall, but forecasts for the August Consumer Price Index, which comes out 1 day before, or 2 days, 1 day before the Bank of Canada announces. This is suggesting that it's going to be ticking upward to around 2.9% year over year. So bottom line is that a cut on September 17th looks very likely, but isn't guaranteed. If inflation surprises to be on the high side, the bank could hold steady. But honestly, buyers and sellers should be ready for either outcome. But we're definitely signaling lower rates are coming soon.
Okay.
Yay, I hope so.
Yeah, well, it's good for buyers, and it's good for anyone who owns a home on a variable mortgage or anybody renewing, right?
Yes.
So, question: I guess the Bank of Canada, they've got. You said that this inflation announcement's coming out 2 days before Bank of Canada.
1 day,
does
actually.
One day.
One day, yeah.
So they'll have pre-gamed, I guess, their decisions, and based on what comes out with the numbers, or will they already know the numbers because this is announced publicly? How does this work behind the scenes? Can you open up and tell us what's in the black box, or is that just as dark to you?
It's just as dark to me. I mean, I follow economists, and I mean, the outlook is that, the inflation numbers are going to come in higher.
Okay.
I think they're looking at all the economic factors. They probably have some formula that they have, and they go, okay, you know what? Like, probably the unemployment rate's going to be an issue, I think.
100%. That's a huge, losing 65,000 jobs in August is huge, for sure.
Huge, yeah. And if that continues on, then we are in trouble.
Plus, we usually follow what's going on in the U.S. So,
that being said, the tariffs are affecting us. Like, that's probably what the job losses and everything is from. So that's not necessarily following the states. That might be something else.
No, I mean their interest rate changed. They just dropped their interest rate change.
Yes. But
Yeah,
they're
although
on the same day as us.
I just saw anecdotal report last night about the liquor industry in the U.S. and how some things like their whiskey are really suffering as a result of the boycotts. So whatever
Canadians,
we're doing.
Yeah, we've been buying. I mean, I like my bourbon from time to time, and I have not bought a bottle since the tariffs come in.
We have a Ukrainian family, which I keep mentioning, who's staying with us, and he had to go through customs, and he's like, I better get this whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, because they can't
Yeah.
get Canada anymore. But anyway,
Ah.
these things all affect what's going on in the market.
Yeah,
Yep, they do. They absolutely do. Okay, so let's talk about the market and the stats. Jen, thank you for your report there.
No problem.
So I'll take this one and just go to a large screen so I can see everything. And I've got my cat once again saying hi. So we had in the last week 244 properties come live on the MLS. So that's a lot lower than the week before, 244 versus 429. That's actually pretty interesting. I think maybe a lot of people were trying to get their property up on market the first week of September. And we'll probably start to see these numbers, in fact, continue to be a little slower. Sorry, buddy. We had, once again, the overlay comes up. We had 111 properties go pending, 122 the week before went pending, so a little down in sales week over week. 128 price decreases versus 138 the week before, so a little lower in price decreases. 42 expired versus 82 the week before. And we'll let Jane take the next one.
Can I just ask a quick question? The expired listings, do they become new listings if they relist?
Depends. Either they become new listings or they take them off market. I find it often depends, or they change realtors. That's happening a lot right now.
Yeah, but that'll still show up as a new listing. So, a listing contract runs anywhere from, let's say averaging 30 days to 6 months. A lot of them, every agent will try to have their own kind of, some will will sign a listing for a year-long listing period. It really depends on how long you think that property is likely to be on market and your chances of selling it and your negotiations with your seller. But once it expires, that contract is up. You need either renew it with your client, or that client takes a break, or they renew with someone else. And so they cycle back and forth.
And if you're looking at product on the market over a long period of time, you do start to see houses coming back on again or off again, or change in description, new price, or whatever. You become more familiar the more you watch.
Mm-hmm. I've always found it interesting, and this is getting a little bit nerdy, but a lot of agents advertise their average days on market for their sales, but they don't usually take into account the prior listings that had listed and expired within that number.
Of course
not. So you could have a property that took a year to sell because it took 4 listing contracts, but on the 4th listing, it sold in a week.
Yeah.
So what's your average going to do? Anyway.
The other thing is
when a week.
Alrighty, so the listed sale ratio this week is 45.49% compared to 28.44%, and that's because less listings are on the market this week.
That's right. Less listings on the market compared to the sales on the market, whereas we had a whole bunch the week before, so that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So then year over year, and so far this month, as of this Monday, we had 126 unconditional sales for the month of September versus 571 for the full month of 2024. 409 new listings as of, again, the Monday versus 1,441 the year before. And total active listings is down again, 3,581 versus 3,362 the year before. We're actually getting closer, coming down in listing inventory.
Yeah, we were at 3,600 at the end of August, so that's interesting.
I think we were up in the 36s. Okay, good stuff. So,
all right,
we're going to get into our topic. I guess we don't have that slide, but we'll get into our topic, which is, why the house next door could kill your sale. What are these things that affect your ability to sell? And sometimes you can have done everything about getting your street appeal, your home put together, and yet what's going on right next door or up the road is going to affect you. Yes,
So
Jane.
I have a few stories. So one, I had a listing earlier this year, and beautiful house, one level, rancher, double car garage, large lot, south facing backyard, everything appealing to it, except that the neighbor had a rusty old car parked on their front lawn next door.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that 2 or 3 people, the sellers did talk to the neighbor about it, and the neighbor's like, it's too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
So that can be a pain in the ass.
I had a property recently that was a duplex, and the neighbor, actually, this has happened to me a couple times recently, where the neighbor had a very large recreational vehicle parked in the driveway, and it was really, really blocking the view, and it just gave the impression of, who's living next door. They've got, they had sort of almost a campground sort of set up in the front around things, and so you don't really want to, you want to be, of course, buying a place where you're going to feel comfortable with your neighbors. So we tried to negotiate. We had a listing property a few years ago where there was a very, very old RV, and it had been traditionally parked there for years, and the person who owned the home had never really bothered about it, but it was blocking, and it was actually taking up, it was a shared driveway, and it was taking up some of the space on the shared driveway. So when we were trying to arrange showings, people were having a hard time getting in and out of that parking area. We tried to negotiate with them. We actually had to get a lawyer to talk to them about it and say, look, you're actually on the easement. You're not supposed to be there. You need to move this. I don't know if it came back after the home was sold, and that was between the new buyers and not, but it definitely was impacting our sale, and the comments about it and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's
you also...
Sorry, it reminds me of, I think you had a listing maybe up in Thetis Lake where the neighbor put a big sign on the lawn, didn't they? And when we first got into real estate.
I still have, you know what? I've got that sign somewhere, and so I will pull that up. I've got it somewhere in my my inventory of signs. This was a duplex, and most duplexes are not run according to Strata Property Act because the neighbors they don't want to be getting together every month and having an official, signing official documents and keeping track of their meeting minutes. They just want to, talk over the fence and say, do you think we need a new roof? Yes, we do. No, we don't. Whatever. And they don't follow the actual rules of how you're supposed to run a strata. But the neighbors, I guess, who are not selling, definitely wanted people to know that this property was not being run in accordance with the Strata Property Act. And I think further that they wanted any new owner to know that they would want to and intend for it to be run according to the Strata Property Act, which is onerous. But yeah, they got a big sign. I'll go find it. We can continue talking, but I'll go find it because I know I've got it somewhere here.
Actually, I wanted to just talk about a client of mine. So they moved into a triplex, and this was in Vancouver. And the problem with a triplex is when you are following the Strata Property Management Act, you have to have 75% approval on all votes. So everything had to be unanimous. And one person just kept denying any approval on any votes. So they were kiboshing everything. They had to take the guy to court because what happened was there was a rip in the vinyl on the roof of one of the units, and it was causing water to come in, and he was refusing to allow to have it repaired. So this is like a worst case scenario here. What can happen?
So
yeah, for sure.
So you can't choose your neighbors, but what do you guys recommend? Or like when you've got buyers going into a neighborhood, do you get them to chat with the neighbors? How do you deal with that?
For something like a small community. So I had another client who lived in a triplex, and she had 3 dogs. And so when she bought in, she actually met with all the neighbors and the neighbors said, oh yeah, you can bring in your 3 dogs. That was their SGM that they had. So they had a great relationship. So yes, you can make interviewing your neighbor a part of the investigation process in purchasing a strata, especially a small one.
Yeah, so strata definitely, you want to understand your neighbor. I think that to your question of what you can do, I think you have to, I tend to tell my clients when they're talking about neighborhoods, both pro and con, is you don't know, like you could have excellent neighbors right now and the home next door could sell and you could get some really problematic person who comes in and is blaring their music late at night or has too much. And so you can't really control that, which is why a lot of people do buy into neighborhoods that are much more established or have a neighborhood association where there might be a little bit more, quote, policing on these kind of things, that there's more consistency to the neighborhood and the way that it's managed and its look and feel.
So we just had somebody move into my neighborhood I met yesterday, and they were talking about the street that they lived on Bear Mountain, and it was a newer development. And she was saying that essentially she didn't really know any of her neighbors. So it doesn't have to be that you're adjoined, that you're just in the neighborhood. And I know that neighborhood had a lot of suites, so it had a lot of parking issues. And I recently had a listing on that street as well. So a lot of people commented on that. But the other thing is, as a seller or as a neighbor, how do you be a good neighbor when somebody has their place for sale? Like, mow your lawn, but don't mow it during an open house. Water your grass, maybe make it look a little nicer, because if they're your neighbor and they can get maximum value for their house, they're going to affect positively the value of your own house. So you can think of it self-servingly if you want, but you can also just be a good neighbor. Yeah.
And that leads to maybe this is something I haven't seen done. Maybe some of our colleagues do it. Queen Jane, says Bernie Cobb. But I'll definitely, if you know your neighbors, it's certainly something to talk to them about and say, look, I'm listing my home for sale. I'm sorry, I'm going to be leaving, but please, let's help everyone out by making sure that this neighborhood looks as spick and span and tidy and good as possible, because it will affect everyone's home values and it will help the property sell faster. And if everyone cooperates for them, they cooperate for the next one. It's just going to be a good feel.
Go ahead, Jen.
On the mortgage side of things, people definitely do make moves because of neighbors. That they're just in a neighborhood, or they've got that unruly neighbor and they just don't want to deal with it anymore, so they're going to sell.
Yeah, and good fences make good neighbors, and in fact, and it's funny because that saying is around, like fence will block the view of your neighbor, but actually, I don't know about you, Jane, but I've shown properties actually even recently where the neighbor's fence is in really rough repair. Everything else is great, but it's a fence that's shared between the two properties. It's clearly the neighbor's fence. And then you're thinking like, do I have to look at that?
Yeah.
Do I have to help pay for repair of that? That's not that attractive.
So there are neighborhoods like Dean Park or Broadmead that have rules around what you can have in your yard, and they have them for that reason. Ironically, I sold a place a few years ago that had an RV in front of it, and it was for a builder. He was the seller, and but his building scheme on his own development said no RVs.
Yes.
But they may have a building scheme that says you have to park the RV behind the front of the house, or it has to be hidden, or you can't have clotheslines. And these are all for the reason for this particular podcast is because they want the neighborhood to show well. And that being said, maybe the rule is there for a reason because of some bad past experience.
Well, the rule's there for a reason, or the developer just is trying to attract people who do want a consistency in the neighborhood. And we see that too in even condo buildings where they say, everyone has to have a certain type of blind. kind of window coverings. It has to have that consistency. So when you're looking at the building from the outside, it's not a hodgepodge of different colors and styles. And I guess they feel that this is going to help improve value. And of course, there are people who do not want to have to paint within the lines, and so be it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who don't want to be constrained by the rules, and they should really be careful about buying into a property where they're going to have their neighbor breathing down, looking over their shoulder every time they do something. That's not the property for you.
So on the other side, we just before COVID, when prices were reasonable, we bought a little condo at the Shawnigan Beach Resort, and I wanted to change the lock on the door to make it a mechanical lock, and so you have to go through strata because then the appearance of the front door is different. But this strata was really lackadaisical, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, now I want to put a screen door on, and so I go around all the units and I'm looking, and screen doors are all different everywhere. And so it does affect the appearance. And as a realtor, you notice this just inconsistency, and then you start to wonder about other things. But I will say we have an awesome strata. Like,
good.
They really do care. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So that car up on struts in the front yard that somebody's been working on for the last 15 years and never gets finished. The shed project that was also partway through. The couch that got thrown out into the backyard that never got taken to the dump. The half painted. All of these things tell you a little bit about your neighbor and your neighborhood. And a really wonderful neighborhood with one neighbor with the junkyard next door and really affect your sale. And we've seen that. I've seen that with a recent listing that I had as part of our team listings, that all the feedback came back. Really great house, very cute, beautifully updated, beautiful yard, everything about it. But what's with that neighbor?
Mm-hmm. So you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your neighbors all the time. And I guess you're buying into community. That's the point, right?
But you can talk to them. You can talk to your neighbors sometimes. And sometimes it's actually worth it to offer to, and this may impact your relationship with your neighbor, and they may never have noticed that it's a problem, but just to say to them, look, I'm going to spend $500, I'm going to spend $1,000, and I'm going to get the junk people in. I'm going to pay for this all to be removed. Please cooperate with me because I would love to be able to sell my home, and this is going to impact the sale if this doesn't happen. And it sucks that you have to do that, but it's also a business decision for you, and that money that you spend may end up with, tenfold more in your pocket.
Yeah, true. Yep. Good neighbors make good dollars for your sale.
There you go. So I mean, having the biker gang house or a frat house or something next door or down the road could impact your value negatively. It could be something that you want because you're party animal, or you're this or you're that, whatever it is. Like, we can't really state what the individual draw is for a home, but we can state in general that some things are going to impact the value. Mm-hmm. Okay, So have we squeezed this one? Is there anything else anybody wants to say about it? There's an article that I've put into the comments. It's from the Real Estate Magazine, and it says why the house next door could kill your sale. So feel free, folks, if you're curious, to go and find that one. As I said, it's in the comments.
Be a good neighbor, mow your lawn, just make your place look a little tidier for them. That really helps them sell the place. And it helps you with your own value of your own home. So absolutely. Okay. All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. Let's just get back to why is this? Thank you, Jen. Yeah, we would love your input. We would love your feedback. And I would love my cat to not step in front of my screen. I'm just moving him. Please subscribe. Please comment, please share. These are all wonderful things that will help us grow the show. Watch for a new platform and we're going to have a new platform and some new content coming soon. So we really thank you for joining us.
I'm Andrew Plank. I'm with the Vibe Collective here in Victoria, Greater Victoria, and I'm licensed with Royal LePage. And you can reach me, at 250-360-6106, or check the website, andrewplank.com. The team website is realvibe.ca, and my email is info@andrewplank.com.
Jen.
I am Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with Modern Mortgage Group, which is through Dominion Lending. My cell number, 250-217-4925. Email is jen@jenlowe.ca, and my website is jenlowe.ca.
All right. And I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. You can reach me at 250-744-0775. My email is jane@briarhillgroup.com. You can look at our listings and our really funny videos at briarhillgroup.com. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram at realtyteacher_Remax_Victoria or at Briar Hill Group. All right, we're on every Thursday at 9:30, so we'll see you next week. We're going to be talking about moving, what you need to know when you're moving your stuff.
Okay, thanks everybody. We will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Ciao. Bye.